officially starting the Vivid series with the first given image. This is me at age 19 or 18. I can't really remember. It's been so many years. But in an undisclosed location within America. And as you can see, I'm next to or standing in front of a quite attractive graffiti mural that it's depicting, I think, something about pizza or it looks like it has a chef on it. I know it was at the side of a pizza place, but I do very much admire how bad my haircut looks in this one. That was back when I had a mohawk and it would gel it up for punk shows. Anyway, as we keep moving forward, as you can see, this graffiti on the bathroom stall of a White Castle in Staten Island says, "I suck dick for free," with the person writing their own cell phone number. The backstory of this interesting graffiti piece I found in Staten Island was when I was in the bathroom of a White Castle before a show. And here's the photo of the show. It happened at the former the venue, Comic Book Jones, which is a comic book store. If you can see the photo, it doesn't do it justice. That venue was packed that night, July 1st, 2017. Anyway, I did bomb horribly. That's when I first started doing stand-up. Going back to the original graffiti of "I suck dick for free," those were in the same day. And it was kind of like I immediately took the photo, and all of these photos are on my Instagram. And I realized the reason I'm doing this is because my Instagram followers are very different following than my YouTube subscribers. So I want to blend the content. I'm very much about recycling content for the better of one's followers. This is a graffiti drawing on the side of a white van of Rick from the Rick and Morty show on Adult Swim, which is a cartoon. I'm pretty sure everyone's aware of it who watches this or will watch it. But what I find interesting about this is how crudely done it is and unrecognizable it is. You really have to know the reference, like in the back or in front of your head, to really know it's Rick. Anyway, I took this, of course. I was walking around Bushwick in the middle of the day, and of course see a white van with Rick from Rick and Morty drawn on it. I assume it's with like some kind of like industrial-sized marker. Definitely doesn't look like spray paint. This example of street art taken on the New York City subway in the height of the Donald Trump administration during 2018 clearly displays what it's about. There's really not much I can add that's original to what this is. But as I said and stated and repeating myself, it clearly states as an art piece what it really is. It definitely is street art because it takes place in the New York City subway system, and it is technically vandalism. So I'll count it. Plus, it's also humorous to me. This particular street art is actually very interesting backstory-wise. It was painted every Saturday for years by some drug addict who was homeless. What's really interesting about it, if you don't know the backstory, the guy in the neighborhood who was a homeless guy who was painting this on the street was a huge anti-Semite publicly. And this art piece and street art technically is an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory stating Jews are behind 9/11. I don't believe that. I'm not repeating it. I'm just saying it was very subtle how he did it. And I think it has to be one of the most subtle art pieces of anti-Semitism ever made. A lot of times the guy who would paint it would, instead of a cross, would paint of a Star of David. But I haven't seen the guy in almost 3 years. Maybe he died of COVID. But the last time I saw him paint it, it had a cross on it instead of a Star of David. I'm not promoting that shit of anti-Semitism. I'm just saying the guy who painted it. So the reason I took the photo with the cross on it was the only time I saw it really happen was in this photo we're looking at. Is because I just felt like it had a better energy than when he was being anti-Semitic. But anyway, no, really, I haven't seen that guy in years. I wonder what happened to him. At least since COVID started, I haven't seen him. He's either dead or somewhere unpleasant. Only God knows. Ooh, it's getting morbid. I gotta get to the next slide. I find this particular graffiti I spotted in 2018 to be absolutely hysterical. It's of Jordan Kepler from Comedy Central's The Opposition, and someone, either who's alt-right or who's trolling, pretending to be alt-right, wrote liberal propaganda poison, or someone who's a fan of Alex Jones because he's supposed to be parroting him. Either way, I was surprised at how many comics, like in around 2018, 2019, were unaware or didn't know about the show The Opposition with Jordan Kepler. And if you don't know what it is, here's a little clip I edited of like 3 seconds together to give you a good highlight of it.
Attention, couch soldiers. They're lying to you. The mainstream establishment has poisoned your mind. They say we should investigate Trump. I say impeach Hillary.
Yeah, I hope you got the gist of what the show is about from that 3-second clip. I gotta move on to the next slide. For how peculiar Bushwick is, I find it even more strange that there is a mural that once stood somewhere in Bushwick of hentai. If you can't tell, the tentacles are all over this girl, or cat girl, whatever. I have mixed feelings about hentai, and I shouldn't be admitting them, but guilty as charged. Anyway, what can I add to this picture or this mural? But like, it's hentai. That's what it is. It's peculiar. It definitely is graffiti and street art of hentai. This particular graffiti piece is on a construction site right by my place. And what I find interesting about it, it's really a knockoff or ripoff of Keith Haring, but not as good. Like, it has all the same structure of his original prints or graffitis, but with none of the emotion or talent. I feel like there's some talent, the fact he's ripping the guy off, be it Keith Haring, but in a really simplistic way. But that's just my opinion. I really like this miscellaneous photo taken right by a few blocks from the Intrepid, the museum in New York. I just love the colors of it. It honestly reminds me of something of like the Caribbean or the West Indians. The West Indies Islands, I guess. Mainly because of the colors. It has a good feng shui to it. That's why I took a photo of it. And I think, and honestly, I can definitely Photoshop it in the future to make an interesting design or pattern for something. But that's all I really have to say for this one. This was taken in April 2022 of this year. It's a framed original print of a futurist art piece located in the Italian Cultural Institute. I was at an event there, and I saw this hanging in one of the rooms, and I absolutely had to take a photo of it. It doesn't count as street art graffiti, but stuttering a bit. Sorry about that. It definitely has the feel and colors of street art or graffiti often use. Futurism is definitely my second favorite type of art. I think my first favorite is definitely graphics, but like particular type. Like, I was rewatching recently the movie Helvetica, the documentary, and the designs in there I love to look at. This is fairly obvious. It's a street art painting, a mural, I guess, on the sidewalk of a cherub or what could be of Cupid. Either way, it's pretty obvious, pretty explanatory. I do like this particular mural and street art. It's very simple, but also very elegant. It's almost like a neo-Renaissance kind of look to it. Well, that's what you get because a Renaissance painting is always obsessed over cherubs and Cupid-like creatures and angels. But I'm not taking credit for this. I'm just commenting on it. You can go follow the artist who tagged himself underneath it. The next two slides are of the same image from different perspectives. Honestly, it's a great mural on the Upper East Side, but I can't make heads or tails of it. But what I can say, it looks somewhat fascist. I'm not saying the artist is, but it has like the element because there are like horses and sword my horns, because it looks like officers or soldiers on mounted horses or mounted on horses. I don't know anything about horses. I guess mounted officers of the law of sort, dressed in black with batons, and a clock, and Clockwork Orange is affiliated with a right-wing thought. It's a proven fact. I might be reading too much into this, but that's what I see in it. And I'm gonna be, as you can see, I'm flickering for both photos back and forth to give it like almost an animation-like perspective. I really don't have much to add to it. I do admire it as an art piece, but it is peculiar that it's on the side of a building like it is. Also, the angle of that brownstone, it just works with the blue pigment of the sky and the building behind. All of it just works, I think. What's interesting to me about this piece of graffiti on the sidewalk, I absolutely forget where I found it in the city, but the way it's worded, it says, "You work, Democrats eat." It can be of one of two schools of thought. A/1, the person's an anti-capitalist, or 2, the person is a diehard alt-right Republican. Either way, it works. I'll let you pick which the person is ideology-wise. This particular graffiti I find absolutely hysterical. It reads, "Ayn Rand would consider you weak. Shrug Atlas." I'm not delving into the Ayn Rand imagination land crap, but I have to imagine the fact that this was in the stall of a dive bar in Brooklyn, not Bushwick or Williamsburg, but like by the Barclays Center, makes it even funnier to me. And the fact that I spotted it, I applaud myself, as narcissistic as that sounds. There's really not much I can add to it. It's very simplistic. It's written out what it states, and that's what you get. Honestly, you know why this particular image and slide is in this video slideshow. You down with a Yo Mama sauce marinara? Yo Mama's marinara? That is all for this one. It's so obviously, and it's ridiculous, and that's why it's in here. Okay, a relative gave me this as a birthday gift a few years ago, and reflecting on it, I think it might be a hate crime. What I like about this particular graffiti art piece on the bathroom stall at a dive bar in the Lower East Side is that it really reminds me of a Western parody-styled anime. Not to make fun of Japanese-style anime, but in tribute of it, like Avatar: The Last Airbender, Martin Mystery, Totally Spies, I guess Legend of Korra, and the Boondocks. It has like the Western meets Asian anime factor. If you kind of get what I'm saying, it's more similar to the Boondocks. Of some of the characters have eyelashes, or Totally Spies, whatever. But I digress. The next slides are going to be entirely a compilation of anime. Within the month of July, my father took me to a very interesting gallery showing, and he saw it in one of his long walks throughout the borough of Manhattan. He came across this gallery and looked at the window and said, "Oh, I have to take my son here." And he was right. It was a amazing expose in his art gallery of like anime / street art styled canvases and spray paintings of anime characters. I have no idea who the artist is, and I asked the gallery curator if they have an art copy of the book of the pieces there, and they said they don't, because the book the guy has affiliated with his gallery works is out of print, so like they didn't have one. I normally don't ever buy those because they're outrageous, but I felt like this was the one time I would. There are only 2 artists I would buy their like gallery book. It would be Ai Weiwei or who was that guy's name? I'm blanking on it. The guy who made just Google cynical realism and then all his artwork will come up. Something Jack Ma, I think. Did a college course about him. Anyway, getting back to the anime paintings, I absolutely love these paintings and graffiti works. I just fell in love with them, and it's really interesting about the fact of these works is that they ranged anywhere from 1,000 to like 10,000 to 1,000,000 being the highest. The $1 million ones were basically like the size of an entire wall, and I'm like, who has space for that? Who lives in the city? That's got to be like a mansion, like it's somewhere in the country or suburbs, that they truck that giant canvas to their place. Anyway, but I really do love the style of artwork, and anime it's a personal favorite of mine. I'm much more of a fan of Western cartoons collectively, but there were like maybe 4 animes I'm a die-hard fan of. The rest of it it's a lot of garbage. But this is some quality art right here. Now that we're talking about design, or have been talking about design, these are my designs, my t-shirts. I've made these and designed these, and this is me trying to rip off Supreme's design. Because let's be real, Supreme rips everyone off. Anyway, yeah. So if you like these t-shirts, go to the Crooklyn Comedy website and look for the merch shop section. And look at all the merchandise we have available. Or I have available, I have made ready for you. Click what you like and look, and there we go. And to finish it off, here are two white tees with my Supreme ripoff design on them. This was taken at the movie theater. The theater in my area has always had a fantastic installation of this film scene from Safety Last, released in 1923. Lastly, I'm showing off my neon sign of Crooklyn Comedy because it was worth it. I'm gonna cut it.